Experts say this is probably an internment camp. It looks brand new. Workers are still painting it. Hundreds of people can be detained behind these walls. We found the facility on the outskirts of Urumqi, the capital of Xinjiang. We traveled to this remote region of China to investigate Beijing's crackdown on the local Uyghur ethnic minority, which has been at the center of international controversy. The Uyghurs are a majority Muslim group, and Beijing sees some of them as a separatist and terrorist threat. According to the UN, authorities are detaining as many as 1 million Uyghurs in facilities like the one we saw in Urumqi. Satellite images and construction bid documents show how China's government built these camps at a frenetic pace over the past 2 years. Researchers have identified more than 100 facilities spread all over this massive region in western China, and believe there are many more still to be uncovered. Governments around the world have raised concerns over alleged breaches of human rights, including arbitrary detention, torture, and mass surveillance.
This is sick.
China says the camps are educational training centers designed to fight terrorism and make Uyghurs more patriotic. But these camps are only part of the story. In Urumqi, we saw how the crackdown has completely transformed cities and Uyghur society. Returning a year after our first reporting trip to Urumqi, we found the city had changed dramatically.
What's this?
This is how things looked on our last visit. Security in the city was heavy, with the police, the military, and armored tanks on the streets. Life in Uyghur neighborhoods was still hectic. This was a market downtown with busy stalls and Uyghurs socializing. 12 months later, the scene had changed dramatically.
A year ago, we were here, and there was a market in this street. There were kind of stalls up and down the street selling all kinds of stuff, Uyghur shops. Now all of it is gone.
Many streets are now empty, with entire Uyghur neighborhoods destroyed. Shops and restaurants shut down, and mosques have fallen silent. Reporting in Xinjiang has long been complicated, but police now seem even more aggressive than during our previous trips. We were repeatedly followed, detained, and questioned while we were reporting. Interviewing Uyghurs on camera in this region is too dangerous. So we spoke with Uyghur exiles to understand what's happening in the city.
Any Uyghur family you can ask have someone in the camp right now, maybe whole family.
Gulchera Hoja fled Xinjiang years ago and became a vocal critic of the Chinese government. She now covers the Uyghur crackdown as a reporter out of Washington, D.C. When we showed her footage of her city, she hardly recognized it.
They're destroying my family, my home, even my memories. We cannot rebuild this. People we know, they gone. The street we know, they demolished. The culture we grown up.
We saw the scale of the destruction in Hejiashan, a neighborhood that used to house hundreds of thousands of Uyghurs. The only things left were broken remnants and 2 abandoned mosques. Chinese flags was standing on top of the rubble.
This looks like maybe it was a storefront or some sort of fairly large building that got knocked down. A ton of rubble over there, just completely destroyed.
The government has been cracking down on this neighborhood for nearly a decade. Authorities have blamed its residents for sparking deadly ethnic riots in 2009. Authorities knocked down parts of the neighborhood after the violence. But it wasn't until the government accelerated its detention program in 2017 that the neighborhood was finally razed to the ground. Now, like in many places around the city, the ruins are being replaced by high-rise towers like these.
经济社会发展更好更快。
The government says it is bringing much-needed development to Xinjiang, which is relatively poor and sits at the center of a massive infrastructure building initiative known as the Belt and Road. This is the Urumqi Beijing wants, a forest of glass towers like those in many other cities in the country.
Dear tourists, welcome to Xinjiang International Grand Bazaar.
In the last year, a neighborhood often considered the heart of Uyghur life in Urumqi has undergone $1 billion makeover.
It's really, really amazing what has happened to this street. I don't think any of these shops were here when we were here last time. This was a road that we're walking in. It's now a pedestrian street. There used to be cops everywhere. It was kind of like a counterinsurgency operation. And now it's like Disneyland.
The most striking thing is that ethnic Uyghurs have nearly disappeared from these streets. Instead, ethnic Chinese tourists roam the neighborhood's Grand Bazaar, which is advertised as an authentic Xinjiang experience. In this bookstore a few blocks away, shelves for Uyghur language books have been cleared out.
Right now, even you cannot see the Uyghur language sign in the streets. Those buildings before at least have a Chinese inscription and then Uyghur.
Take a guess. What country do you think this is?
Before, the Urumqi was very alive city. Someone described as like New York in our region. You can hear the musics everywhere, dancing. Uyghur culture, it's very unique because we border with 8 different countries. That's why we have a very mixture culture.
The Communist Party has led notorious crackdowns in recent decades, in Tiananmen Square, Tibet, and against the Falun Gong religious group. But experts say what it's doing in Xinjiang is unprecedented. Never before has any regime combined mass detentions with high-tech police surveillance in a program designed to remake an entire society. China was criticized for its camps at the UN.
We are alarmed by the government of China's worsening crackdown on Uyghurs, Kazakhs, and other Muslims in the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region.
China denies it has detained 1 million Uyghurs, but now promotes its policies in Xinjiang as an innovation in the fight against extremism.
这一举措取得了预期的成效，新疆坚持将打击暴恐犯罪与保证人权相结合。
Foreign governments may have raised their voices on the issue, but so far none has taken concrete action. Meanwhile, Uyghurs who recall their cities from before the crackdown fear Beijing might just succeed in wiping out their culture.
We don't want this to develop. I want my Urumqi. I want my home.